We've been tricked. We've been bamboozled again by the Democrats. They're doing something they said they would never do. What am I talking about? Biden just pardoned his son, Hunter Biden, after repeatedly promising that he wouldn't pardon him.
Is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
Does the president have any intention of pardoning him?
We've been asked that question multiple times. Our answer stands, which is no.
Now, let's be clear. Hunter Biden was charged with 3 felony tax offenses and 6 misdemeanor tax offenses, and he pled guilty to all of these charges, and his plea was accepted by the judge. So his sentencing was supposed to start December 16th, 2024, and he was facing a maximum penalty of 17 years in prison. So these are the facts about the Hunter Biden case. Let's listen to what The View has to say about this hypocrisy. I'm very interested.
Yesterday, Biden had a change of heart, granting his son a full pardon on tax evasion and federal gun charges. He released a statement that, quote, says no reasonable person who looks at the facts can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out because he is my son. That is wrong, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Now, I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. So the question is, will people understand? Listen, I get it. I mean, we got a convicted felon as president.
Yes, yes. Yes.
It's hard for me to...
Yes,
And I know that you know who's been asking, are you going to pardon the January 6th folks? Actually, probably not, but I kind of feel like I look at the list of folks that who pardoned during the first term. He granted 237 acts of clemency, 143 pardons, and 94 commutations, including Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, Paul Manafort, Charles Kushner, Steve Bannon, George Papadopoulos, Albert Pirro, and Lil Wayne.
everybody.
I forgot about Lil Wayne.
Yeah. And Lil Wayne. So it is a president's prerogative. So I'm not sure why the pearl clutching is happening now, except that that's what folks want to do. But
Did Trump ever say he was not going to pardon somebody and then he did? So, the reality of the situation is that Biden just looked at us right in our face, told us a lie all of this time. And when somebody lies, you have to ask yourself, well, why would they lie to me? Why would he just tell us, yeah, I'm going to pardon my son?
I see this one a little bit differently, and some of you know this, but I grew up with an immediate family member who was in and out of jail for addiction-related offenses when I was growing up. And now, a decade later, clean, have their life together, serve their time, are still dealing with the consequences. Inability to vote at time, paying restitution, working to get your record expunged, not being able to be eligible for certain employment. Most Americans, if they face consequences for actions that they took, they're going to have to face them. And nobody powerful and politically connected is going to come sweep in and save them. And I think, this feeds the notion to a lot of this country that there's simply a different set of rules for folks in power. And when we sit here and we say a lot like, well, Donald Trump did X, Y, and Z, and how did he get elected? Because to a lot of this country, it just becomes noise. They think that if you commit crimes and somebody powerful and connected in D.C., right, left, center, Biden, Trump, you're going to be able to get away with it if you have someone on your side, and that's not how it is for everyday folks. Secondly,
Amen.
I take issue with lying about it. I wanted to ask him here when he came on The View, but the thought was he said so many times he wasn't going to pardon him. That, to me, is lying to the public. I felt bad for Karine Jean-Pierre that she repeatedly had to say that he wasn't going to pardon him. This is why people don't trust Washington. That's why they don't trust politicians. And I know a lot of us like Joe Biden, but I find it disappointing and bad for our institutions.
Well, look.
Thank you for speaking the truth, Alyssa.
I think sometimes, unfortunately, in this country, there are two sets of justice, right? I, too, have many family members convicted.
Oh, is Sonny going to tell the truth this morning? If Sonny tells the truth this morning, Yo, something is crazy is going to happen if Sonny tell the truth this morning. Let's see.
Of felonies, marijuana, related to marijuana. They haven't been able to get positions in certain places. They haven't even been able to get housing in certain places. When I applied to be a federal prosecutor, there was a checkbox. If you're a felon, explain the circumstances, and you were more than likely not to get that. Now, as Whoopi said, that we have a convicted felon in the White House. Those questions should not be asked of anyone, anytime, anywhere.
Man, that's crazy. I thought Sonny was going to be able to at least look at this situation objectively. But just like Sonny always does, and every other lady on The View, they have to deflect. Donald Trump is the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted Robert Kennedy to be the president. Because I believe that with Trump being the president, even though I like Trump and I think that he's a good president, I think it lended itself to too much back and forth, too much political slander, too much nonsense, too much BS. For The View, Trump is the ultimate get out of jail card. Like, they basically feel like on the far left that no matter what they do, they can blame Trump. And this is what we have to look forward to for the next 4 years as sane individuals. Regardless if you're a Democrat or a Republican, I believe that many Americans are sane, right? And so we just want sanity, right? We don't want all of the oscillation, all of the political extremism, all of the nonsense, right? The excuses that they're using right now, they're gonna use them for the next 4 years.
The other thing is, Trump did escape responsibility for all his crimes. He's nominating Charles Kushner, who he pardoned, as you mentioned, as the ambassador to France. Do you know what a nice, cushy job that is that any felon would like? And, so pleased with the hypocritical pearl clutching by this country. Eric Holder, I think, said it really well.
Y'all pearl clutch every day.
No U.S. attorney would have charged this case given the underlying facts that have been investigated for 5 years. Less than, get this, 0.09% of people are indicted, prosecuted, charged, and found guilty of lying on a gun form. The only reason that Hunter Biden was gone after and charged, indicted, and found guilty was because his name wasn't Joe Smith, it was Hunter Biden. And that's the truth of it. You've got Eric Holder saying it, you've got former prosecutors like myself saying it. So,
Why didn't he admit it earlier?
Wait.
Get her, Alyssa.
I think one of the reasons why he didn't admit it earlier was because he didn't know that the felon in chief would become the next president.
Let me let Anna speak.
I actually talked to Joe Biden about this. When he was on the show, I told him I hoped he pardoned Hunter.
I remember.
You did. I
went to speak at the Biden Institute in Delaware like a month later, and we talked on the phone, and I told him I hoped he pardoned Hunter. I left him a handwritten note at his desk at the University of Delaware and told him I hoped he pardoned Hunter. And the reason I thought it was important is because I wanted him to hear from people who support him and respect him, which I do, that some of us, I'd say most of us, think it's okay for him to pardon Hunter because of what you just said, that so many of the people who committed this crime do not get prosecuted. Imagine the guilt.
When Democrats start speaking, you got to ask questions because they like to play with words. When she says this crime that he committed, what crime is she talking about?
That Joe Biden has to live with, thinking that his son, his only surviving son, is getting prosecuted because he is his son.
See, this is what I'm saying. He was not prosecuted because he was his son. He was prosecuted because he broke the law. And one of the laws that he broke was tax evasion, which is a serious crime that people go to jail for.
I want to say that Charlie Kushner, the guy, Jared's dad, who was pardoned by Trump, he was convicted of witness tampering, among many other things. And Chris Christie, Republican, who prosecuted him at the time, said it was one of the most loathsome, disgusting crimes he prosecuted in more than a decade. Look, he hired a hooker, set up his his brother-in-law with the hooker and sent the photos to his sister to intimidate her into not testifying. I'll say this. Hunter, your dad has given you a great, great gift. The gift of freedom and taking this weight off your shoulders.
Yeah.
I hope now Hunter gives his dad a gift. The gift of being a good son, a good father, a good grandfather, a good human being,
But can I
leading a
ask a
productive
question?
life. Can I finish? Both ways.
I want to understand two things because I respect it as a parent. I understand why he would do it, but I wonder to understand why lie about it for so long.
I'd stop calling it a lie.
Okay, why repeatedly say you're not?
Why would you not call it a lie, Whoopi? Why? That's another great example of how I talked about this yesterday on the show. Whenever you hold Democrats accountable or far leftists, what is the first thing they try to do in defense? Word gymnastics. I think we shouldn't call it a lie.
Repeatedly say you're not going to, and you do. And secondarily, for the part of this country, half of it that doesn't support Biden, doesn't know him personally, doesn't get to have phone calls, and they're just looking at a system that seems like it only benefits the people who are in power.
I'm going to say,
what precedent does that set?
Well, here's what it sets. It's a precedent for all of us to open our eyes because we've elected someone who is in a similar situation, who didn't have a drug problem, who knew what he was doing, who clearly stood and said, I can do this. And he did it. So I think, for many, many reasons.
Get your shit together, Whoopi.
This is very different than any other situation that we have ever dealt with. Because when we're talking about who gets a pardon and who doesn't get a pardon, this man, I think Biden had no intentions of pardoning Hunter.
Look at that. That face is worth $1 million right there. That's the face like, oh, come on with the bullshit. Like, I like Alyssa. I don't know how long she's gonna last on The View, but she's the only one who speaks with some level of accountability, right? She's like, look, I'm a Democrat. Look, I love this party. Look, I voted for Kamala Harris. But I do want some accountability. And I think that's, I can trust, when I come watch The View to do these reaction videos, I can trust what Alyssa says in terms of it's coming from here. It's not coming from, I gotta speak to this side or I gotta speak to this side. Like, I could trust what she's saying. And I really believe that she could leave The View and have a blossoming career. Now, I will say this. When it comes to Kushner, that's one of the reasons why I really wasn't rocking with Trump. Because Trump and Jared Kushner did some grimy business. You can go look at it. I forget the show. It's on Netflix, Jared Kushner on Netflix, where they had a real estate company charging people all of this money and late fees that was trumped up charges, no pun intended. And you know, yeah, Jared Kushner and his pops, they both are criminals. You know what I mean? And so to give them a pardon is equivalent to giving Hunter Biden a pardon. This is why I was always on the fence about Trump, to be honest. So the fact that Anna Navarro brought that up, I think that she makes a great point. But the main question is this: who's gonna be the adult in the room?
When we're talking about who gets a pardon and who doesn't get a pardon, this man, I think Biden had no intentions of pardoning Hunter. And I think the more stuff that went down, I think he said, well, why am I busting my behind to stay straight and do this when nobody else is?
Hold up, that was the bullshit look again. This is Alyssa's faces are amazing right now. Listen, the more and more stuff went down, could that be the more and more charges that came up? Because they making it seem like, oh, you know, the issue with Hunter Biden was that he lied about a gun. I heard them say that earlier. No, we talking about treason. We talking about some real heavy charges. And that's why people are upset that Biden gave his son an 11-year pardon, because it stops us from looking at all of the serious charges that haven't come to light, that Trump was gonna bring to light outside of him lying about a gun and tax evasion. That's why people kept talking about what's on his laptop and things of that nature. Like basically heavy betrayal on America. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about some little simple thing that 0.9 people go to jail for. Let's be clear.
When nobody else is, when no one else is doing it.
I think he thought he was going to win, and I just wish he would have been honest with the public.
He said he wasn't going to pardon him even after he lost. But I think what happened in the meantime that we have to, be cognizant of.
It doesn't matter what happened. One of my favorite movies is Scarface. In Scarface, Al Pacino says, all I got in this world is my word and my nuts. If your word changes with the circumstances, then your word doesn't really matter that much. So don't get upset at people when they don't believe what you say, because they know that what you're saying is only circumstantial.
Donald Trump campaigned on retribution, vindictiveness, and vengeance.
He's done it for 4 years.
He has appointed people who to law enforcement positions that have said we are here for retribution and vindictiveness. So Joe Biden could not leave Hunter, his only son, at the mercy of these people who are saying they're going to take retribution.
The presidency should be bigger than his feelings.
It should be, but it is
a very small man.
This is I can't believe that this is what's freaking people out. That this is the thing that says, oh well, see,
precedents matter.
It does. But I'm noticing the man who would not normally be able to even vote for president is the president.
Because people don't hustle.
It's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. He did what he did.
We know this is what they're gonna do, try to invalidate other people's positions, invalidate other people. And I think that by saying, I can't believe people getting tripped up on something this small. Really? Okay. And see, this is why I believe that we have some terrible times upon us in America, because the level of hypocrisy stops us from being able to have any order. But that's not even what interests me the most, because everybody knows that most of these politicians lie, and they don't live by the phrase, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. They live by the phrase, do as I say, not as I do. So, Trump will be in office. I'm pretty sure Trump will do some pardons, and there will be some outrage. But remember this, y'all gave Hunter Biden an 11-year pardon. Peace.